Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have an HP ProBook 460 G11. I'm going to take you on a teardown or disassembly tour, show you how to get inside, and many of the various components you can access and upgrade once you're in. So first thing, power down your computer, make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip the computer over to access our bottom case screws. You have 5 screws on this bottom case that need to be taken up. These screws are referred to as captive screws, which means they stay in the bottom case. You can't actually get them out. So after you're done unscrewing those, you're going to take a small, flat pry tool, and it's generally best to start out back near one of the 2 hinges. You're going to get inside that seam, gently go across the back here, and then work your way down to the front on each side, prying apart that bottom case from the rest of the computer. Now, don't put the pry tool too far in. You could damage some internal components. Just stay on the edge, go nice and slow but firm, and you'll be able to get that bottom case off. After you do, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, guys, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like any help with tools or supplies for your project, as well as any upgrade or replacement parts for this specific model computer, I will have a link above, also below in the description, and that will be a list of the tools and supplies and replacement parts on this ProBook 460 G11. Now, before touching anything in a computer, it's always best to unplug your battery. Computers are safer to work on when as little power as possible is running through them. This is your battery right down here along the bottom of my screen. This is an 11.58 volt battery, and many of you will have a 48 watt hour stock battery in the computer. This longer one is the optional upgrade, around 56 watt hours. So the part number you'd want for this is RX03XL. I will have all that information below in the description for your reference. But again, I will have a replacement option for you in that link I told you about with all the tools and supplies and replacement parts for this model. It plugs into the motherboard right here. So to get that plug out, it's got a nice tab on each side of that plug so you don't have to pull on the wires and risk damaging them. You can use your fingernails or a pry tool on each one of those tabs and wiggle it out of that port on the motherboard. The battery is not screwed in. If you're looking to take it out, it's held in by this blue tab. You press this blue tab down so it's nice and flush, and then the battery will slide to the left so you can get it out. One thing I'll mention about this kind of an operation, if you are here because your computer is not turning on, your battery could be bad. You may have to replace it, but keep in mind that most laptops should still turn on and function well with a bad battery as long as they're plugged into their charger. So if your computer is not turning on at all, there may be something else wrong than just a bad battery. If you would like help troubleshooting your issue, I'll have a video tutorial link above, also below in the description, and it will be the troubleshooting process I use in my shop to find out why a laptop's not turning on and how to fix it. This is where your RAM is, under this silver guard. You can take a small flat pry tool, put it underneath this corner tab right there, and easily lift this guard off. After you do, you expose your 2 RAM ports side by side. Now this computer takes DDR5 RAM at 5600 megahertz. I will have all the RAM spec information below in the description if you need it, but I will also include several replacement and upgrade options in that link I told you about with all of the tools and supplies and replacement parts for this model computer. Now the manual for this computer says a max of 32 gigabytes. However, because of the CPU that's used, you should be able to go as high as 96 gigabytes if you wanted to. So in that list, I will have a couple different low-cost replacement options. I will have an 8 gigabyte stick. If one of these goes bad and you just want to replace it and not spend too much money, I'll also have a 16 gigabyte set, which would be 2 8 gigabyte sticks in the event both go bad and you want to replace both. However, on the upgrade side, I will have a 32 gigabyte kit, a 48 gigabyte kit, a 64 gigabyte kit, and a 96 gigabyte kit for those of you that really want to upgrade some speed in your computer. The way that RAM works is there's a spring-loaded metal arm on either side of your stick. To get the RAM out, you would gently pry these metal arms apart from each other, away from the RAM. The stick will then release, Oftentimes it'll pop up a little bit and you can slide it out of this port right here. To get the RAM back in, you'll notice there's a long section and a short section, so you can't put the RAM in upside down. It'll only go in one way. After getting it in and flush and straight, make sure that gold section is nice and even along the length of this port. Once it is, you press down in the center and these metal arms latch onto it and hold it in place. For storage, this computer has a single storage port right here. It's an M2 NVMe. It takes 2280 size solid state drives, Gen 4. I will have all that information below in the description if you need it for reference, but I will include a few upgrade and replacement options below in that list I told you about with all of the tools, supplies, and replacement parts for this computer. I will include a 500 gigabyte drive if you're looking to just replace a bad drive but not spend more than you have to. But I will also include a 1 terabyte, a 2 terabyte, and a 4 terabyte size drive if you're looking for something a little larger. And since this computer doesn't have a secondary storage port, if you are looking for some larger long-term bulk storage, consider an external drive. I will have a couple different external drive options in that list as well. It's held in by these two screws, one here on the right, one here on the left. After removing those screws, you can take this guard up and take your solid state drive out. A couple things to mention about this operation. If you are installing a new drive to your computer, you may need to install an operating system to it afterwards. I will have a link below in the description and it will show you how to install Windows 11 onto an HP laptop. Also, if your old drive is bad and you want to recover some of the data, keep in mind that in most cases, it is possible to recover data from a bad drive. I will have more information about that below in the description as well. Your Wi-Fi card is right up here in the top right of my screen. I will have the Wi-Fi card specifications down below in the description if you need them for reference, but I will also try to have a Wi-Fi card replacement option in that list I told you about with all of the replacement parts, tools, and supplies for this computer. After taking off this little black peel-on guard, you'll be able to access the screw right here. After removing that screw, you can pull it out of this port. Then all you will have are these antenna wire that snap onto the Wi-Fi card. To release those, you just pull directly up and off and they'll snap off. However, to get them on, guys, they do need to be at a perfect 90-degree angle to snap back on, and you are strong enough to damage them if they're not at the right angle and you try to force it. So it could be a pain in the butt, but go slow, be patient, and you will be able to get those antenna wire back on. As a side note with this operation, if you are having trouble seeing your Wi-Fi options, if you can't see any networks, it may be a bad Wi-Fi card, but it could also be a system or a driver issue. Try to rule that out first before trying a Wi-Fi card replacement. I will have above in the video, also below in the description, a video tutorial showing you how to fix the problem of not being able to access your Wi-Fi options. Hopefully you can fix it that way first. These are your speakers right here. You have this one on the bottom left of my screen, this one on the bottom right of my screen. Now this one on the left does not plug into the motherboard itself. It's wired down here. You can see the wire threaded through these channels underneath your trackpad all the way over to this speaker, and this speaker plugs into the motherboard here. So speaker wires are very fragile, guys. Be very careful when pulling on these wires. Try to just use your fingernails or a pry tool, maybe a small set of pliers to wiggle that plug out of that port instead of putting a lot of pressure on those wires. I will try to have a speaker replacement set for you below in the description in that link I told you about with all of the tools and supplies and replacement parts for this model computer. Also, I wanted to shout out if you are having sound quality issues in your computer, if your sound is not consistent across different platforms, it may not be a speaker issue. It may be a system or driver issue. I will have a video tutorial below in the description, also above in the video, and it will show you how to make sure all your system and your drivers are updated so you may not have to try replacing your speakers. This is your fan up here near the top of my screen. The heatsink comes from the vent down here over this heat spreader over your CPU. To get the fan up, you have these three screws and it plugs into the motherboard right here. Now these fan wires are very, very fragile. If you pull that wrong or too hard, it can easily just rip right out of that plug. So definitely just use your fingernails or a pry tool, wiggle that out of that port right there if you're getting your fan out. Now, I don't know why you guys are here, if you're replacing a bad fan or if you just want to clean some things out, maybe address some overheating issues. Once you get your fan up, you can blow it out, clean it out pretty well. As far as the heatsink, if you do need to take up your heatsink for any reason and you expose that thermal paste to air, you do need to then reapply the thermal paste. Once it's been exposed to air, it's not going to do its job very well. I will have a video tutorial link above, also below in the description, and that video will show you how to fix an overheating laptop. One of the things it will show you is how to clean out your fan, but also how to clean off all the old thermal paste from your heatsink and CPU. You don't want to put new paste on top of old paste. And then it will show you how to put the correct amount of new thermal paste down. If you put too little down, it obviously won't do its job. But if you put too much down, it could end up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. So again, that video will be below and above if you need help with that. As another side note with this thermal paste, they're not all created equal. Generally speaking, the cheaper thermal pastes will work, but the more expensive thermal pastes will do a better job. So in that link below in the description I told you about with all of the parts and tools for this computer, I will have, in addition to a fan replacement, I will have a couple different options for thermal paste for you to choose from. To get at your touchpad, you see these 4 screws right here. Remove those, that'll gain you access to your touchpad. Keep in mind these ribbon cables, guys. This little one here, this larger keyboard ribbon cable, you see these small ribbon cables all over your computer, up here near your LCD cable. These are very fragile. You can break these easily. The way you operate these is the little black clip here, or the black clip here. You take a small, very, very flat pry tool and you slide it up under that clip and gently pop it up. It'll open like a book cover. It'll open from the side and the hinges will be on the top side. And those black clips, if you break those, you may not be able to find a replacement, which would mean that your ribbon cables would not secure down again. So just be very careful when operating these ribbon cable connector clips. Other than that, to get at your LCD assembly, you would undo your LCD cable here, your antenna wire here that run through your hinge assembly, and then you would unscrew your 2 hinges. But that's the majority of the components in this computer. If you have any questions, check out the FAQs below in the description. It could save you some time finding an answer. If you do need to leave me a question or comment, please do. I do try to get to those a couple times a day at least. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.